Hey everyone, I wanted to give you a few quick notes from last night's Flyers win over the Atlanta Thrashers and to preview a little bit tomorrow of their game against the New York Rangers up at Madison Square Garden. A couple notes that I took from last night's game. Danny Briere has scored a goal in 5 straight games, and obviously it's not the Crosby point streak, and everyone's going to be raving about that and everything. And we've been talking about how, and maybe sometimes joking about how Briere hasn't made the All-Star team this year, and despite the fact that he's already close to passing his season total from last year in goals. And the thing about it is that even though Briere probably deserves to go, this is going to end up benefiting him in the long run because he is a veteran player now. He's going to want that rest, and he actually talked about when the Flyers had their 8-day layoff before going out to Vancouver on that long West Coast road trip, how he enjoyed the time spending the time with his kids and just being able to relax a little bit. So I think in the end it's going to affect him in a positive way rather than him having to go down to Carolina and have to play in the All-Star game, as deserving as he is to go. Another thing to take away from last night's game is we didn't really mention it with the Boston game, was Matt Walker has been in the lineup for the past 2 games, and he was the guy that came over in the Simon Gagne trade, and he just hasn't been able to get in because, one, our defensive corps have been playing so well together and they have such a good chemistry, and two, because he's been injured all year. So he's shown some rust. It's definitely there. He doesn't move as well. He has Pronger size. He just doesn't have his ability. But it's not like he's a slouch back there. Even though Matt Carl was -3, the plus minus is a bit of a flawed stat, but he certainly is. He's shown flashes of he's a good guy around the net. He's a big force that you can just stick in there to clear the way, so that way our goalies can get a good view of the puck and things like that. And speaking of which, Sergei Bobrovsky was fantastic again last night, so we'll come back to that later. In terms of tomorrow night against the New York Rangers, the Rangers are really a team that they went after all these guys way back when the lockout first ended. They got Chris Drury, they got Scott Gomez, and everyone thought, oh, here come the Rangers. They're going to be going back to the Stanley Cup because Gomez had won with the Devils a couple of times, and Chris Drury he's been a great player for his entire career. He almost got Buffalo there by himself. So They failed miserably. It was not a success. They traded off Scott Gomez and they started to rebuild, and they've kind of become what the Phoenix Coyotes were last year. They have a great young goaltender, obviously, in Henrik Lundqvist, and they have a lot of just good pieces that all fit together. They have good scoring threats in Marian Gaborik, Vinny Prospal, former Flyer. He's still good when he's healthy. So these are things that you have to watch out for in the next game. The Rangers are actually in 5th place. They're right there. You seem to lose them in the Penguins' shadow, but they're only 3 points behind the Penguins. They're at 55 points. We're at 61. So it's going to be interesting to see how these are always great tilts. It's actually possibly a Winter Classic preview for next year. A lot of rumors have been flying around that it's going to be here in Philadelphia with the Flyers and the Rangers. The Rangers really need to get into the Winter Classic. They're an original 16. They play in a huge market, and it'll be just a great thing for the NHL since they want to keep the Winter Classic to American teams and the Heritage Classic to Canadian teams. So it's going to be it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, the Flyers have scored 10 goals in their past 2 games, but I don't think it's going to go that way. I think it's going to be more of a 2-1 or a 3-2 game. They've given up less goals than the Flyers, actually. It's really surprising. They've given up, I believe it's 108 or 109 goals, while the Flyers have given up 118. So the interesting thing to look into tomorrow is whether Bobrovsky is back on the net or if Boucher is back in. Bobrovsky's been stellar his last 2 starts. He's starting to get hot again. He's really coming out and challenging the puck. He's really seeing the puck well. He made some great saves on deflections last night. And yeah, Bush had a tough game. I really am not afraid about that. I'm not really concerned about that. But at the same time, Laviolette has shown he's going to go with the hot hand. So it'll be interesting to see. So that's all for now. And hopefully everyone's doing well. And I'll talk to you later. Go Union. Doop doop.